And we are live! So, welcome back mga ka-RTG and magandang gabi.
Magandang gabi. We have maulan na gabi dito sa amin sa Mindanao, specifically Davao de Oro. Kumusta dyan, Sir Bullet? After Typhoon Rolly at Shoni ata. So, kumusta?
Medyo umiwas yung yung bagyo dito sa Rizal. Pero yung mga ating kapatid sa Bicol. So, medyo doon yata yung naapektuhan.
Okay, hoping may mga infrastructure talagang damages, but hopefully lives are spared. We can repair back slowly but surely. Hopefully wala nang mga malalakas na bagyo for this year. We have too much problems for this year. So hopefully tuloy-tuloy na walang problema to Pasko. Next year naman siguro kasi marami ng problema sa 2020.
Oh yes, sana matapos na. And nagchat-chat si Pong Pipat. Okay, yung ating classmate sa sa Thailand. Okay, nasa chat. Shout
Ano bang tama? What's the correct greeting? I forget because I'm wearing Thailand t-shirt today, 2018, 2 years. So sawadi ka? I forget already. So need to come back to Thailand, Bangkok. Hopefully next year.
Sana nga. Okay, so welcome to our viewers and welcome to our TikTok session. Okay, let us talk about microtik. And to give us the topic for today, let's listen to Sir Oaks Bill.
Okay, so it's my time again to share with you guys this Friday. So I'm going to present now. Take away from you, Sir Bullet. Okay, so entire screen. So allow. So makikita po ang presentation natin.
Ay, lipat natin. Okay.
Let me know if you can see the screen or the presentation slide. And you can hear me properly so I can start. Give me a go signal, Sir Bullet.
So, okay na. Okay?
Okay, nakikita yung slide, Sir Bullet. Bridge and routed networks with MikroTik Router OS.
Yes.
Okay, so good evening once again. So viewers, subscribers, and practitioners, novice or beginner, intermediate or advanced, wherever you are in Philippines, in abroad, good evening. So it's once again Fridays. So thankfully hindi ako naka-absent because we have some major telco issues the past almost 3 days with no internet. So fortunately, bumalik naman this Friday and was able to squeeze out and prepare out like an impromptu live stream or presentation or discussion for this evening. So bridge and routed networks with MikroTik Router OS. So as we finished our discussion the past few weeks on initial configuration, so we have shown you guys how to configure MikroTik from scratch, from zero or default configuration, and editing settings that may be useful or what is needed in your situation or network topology. So now we are moving forward, okay? So to some other topics that could be also helpful and try to expand or try to understand networking in general, of course with the use of MikroTik Router OS. So we have bridge and routed networks with MikroTik router OS. So the term bridge and routed networks, if you guys are not really into networking, so you can found these terms in the OSI layer. So the OSI layer, so we have some layer 1, layer 2, okay, the physical layer, layer 1, data link layer, layer 2, okay, so where the bridging is taking place, then the routing part or the network layer on layer 3. So now you see that there are some distinction between layers, but these layers work hand in hand so that our computers or our endpoints, okay, wherever we are, can communicate to one another. Okay. So, however, we emphasize on layer 2 or in the bridging and routing or routed networks. Okay. So I have some topology here, prepared topology for a bridge network. So although in our live stream or our in actual today, it may not be the complete what we call equipment that we will be going into because of time constraint. We may not be able to finish. However, just bear with this topology. So we have a bridge network. So of course we need to understand why it's a bridge network. Why is it is an example of a bridge network, and later we will see the advantages or know the advantages or determine the advantages of a bridge network as well as the issues of the bridge network. So why we need to, of course, choose some other networking topology or networking design in our what we call infrastructure in our network. Okay, so we have, of course, the cloud, and we have an ISP, a single ISP router connected to our MikroTik. So in the middle, we have the MikroTik. Okay, so for example, it's a 4-port MikroTik router. Okay, so it is connected to some access points. Okay, you have access point on the left and on the right, and you have a switch. Okay, so basically it's a wireless access point, and you have a switch. Okay, so take note. Okay, so all of the LAN ports except for port number 1, which is going to the ISP router, so 2, 3, 4 are on the same bridge. Now, in this area, you could already see that it's a bridge network. Okay, on this area, although MikroTik is acting as a router because there is what we call port number 1 going to the ISP router. So there is still routing in play, but in the most of the topology here, okay, going to the access point, left and right, going to your LAN, going to the endpoints, okay, they are on bridge. Now, how this network extends. So, of course, there may be a scenario that you need to extend your network other than your local, meaning the physical or literal local. Okay, your office, you need to connect to another building, so you might opt to use access point or up to you, okay, fiber, whatever. But in this scenario, okay, it's an wireless access point received by a station, however, connected to a switch. So this is a switch symbol. So basically, the left network and the right network, they are sharing the same, what we call bridge network or local area network. Okay, so it may be farther, it may be near 1 kilometer, 2 kilometer away, up to you what is the access point that you are using. So this falls now to a bridge networks. Okay, a bridge network. Okay, so Sir Bullet,
Yes.
still okay?
Okay pa, okay. Yung ano mo, sir, yung camera mo yata, hindi pa. Pero okay lang. Ang mahalaga naman yung audio. Parang naka-post ka, still images.
Still, so I need to dance. So still, I need to dance. I don't know how to release that because pagka-connect po ng camera sa Google Meet, yun na po siguro yon. So paano? Sige lang, naka-still lang yung image ko po. Okay naman siguro. As long as hindi nakatawa o nakabuka yung bibig. Hindi naman.
Hindi naman.
Sir Bullet?
Hindi naman. Okay
Hindi naman.
naman.
Okay. So, bridge network, so it's common network design for startup WISP. Okay, but of course, I'm not saying that those who start with really networking knowledge prior they start a wireless internet service provider business or what we call yung pag-start ng WISP na yan. So, but however, for those who have some knowledge in computer and go to or venture to with business, more or less this is their network design or pinaka kumbaga start up nila na network design, yung naka-bridge siya talaga. Okay? So because of course it doesn't need what we call superior network knowledge or expert networking knowledge. Of course, you just need to deploy switches, connect it. Yun man yung common sa Pilipinas, yung marunong ka mag-crimp, RJ45, UTP cable, connect to switch, okay? And up to you, connect to the computers, and there you go. You have a local area network. Of course, we are now transitioning more to other media like fiber. Usong-uso na yung mga media converter, fiber to fiber, wireless nga. Of course, technologies are developing. So, but nevertheless, yung pag-start ng WIS, okay, we start the WIS, commonly, si bridge po na network ang kumbaga napipili or na design. Actually, they won't even think of the design yet. Some maybe, okay, I just buy this wireless access point. I know this wireless access point. I just connect it to the router or the switch, and I just give what we call hanggang mag-expand na yung network. Yun na po. Kumbaga, doon na sila mag-iisip sa design. So, may mga ganun din na scenario. Okay? So, it's implemented with bridging software. So, like MikroTik case, the bridging feature is software-based, and we have switching, which is hardware-based. Of course, hardware is better than software in this manner, wherein in performance-wise, you have the switching is better than the bridging in software. So, this is the reason why it's common. It uses a single layer 3 subnet. What I'm talking about a layer 3 subnet is like 192.168.1.0/24 or the 255.255.255.0. So some won't even bother what is the range of that or kumbaga gaano kalaki ang network na yan. For them, as long as I have a router with a LAN 192.168.1.1, I just connect my access point. I just re-IP my access point to be on the 192.168.1 network. Connect my other access points for outdoor example, and there you go. Okay, I slowly build up my network. So again, they will use only a single layer 3 subnet. So it requires none to minimal subnetting knowledge. So minimal, I would say none, but more or less minimal subnetting knowledge, because some might think of what we call how big is my network if I use a /24 or a 255.255.255.0 subnet mask, that particular IP carrying that subnet mask. So it will require a minimal, at least you have an idea, at least an expectation, how large can you grow in your current network design. Hopefully, those who start with have an idea. It's not always about money. Yes, of course, money is needed for you to expand, but no matter how much money you have, if your design is like a /30 or a /29 or a /28, you cannot really expand unless you have a subnetting knowledge. So for a bridge network, halos wala or merong konti na subnetting knowledge. At least I know how to put a subnet mask, I put an IP address. So they are on the same layer 2 broadcast domain. So broadcast, so yung communication, the computer communication in IPv4, so you have unicast. Meaning to say unicast, my computer knows already the IP. I have an IP address and I know how to contact the IP address of the other endpoint or the server or the access point or the station. Unicast communication, one-to-one. Okay? One-to-one na nagkakausap. But in a broadcast, you will know that in a subnet, you have a network address, you have a valid host addresses, and you have now a broadcast address. For example, a 192.168.1.0/24 network, your .0 is your network address, the network identifier. Your .1 to .254 will be your valid host range. So you can assign or you can provide these IP addresses to the host. Now, the 255, yun po yung gamit ng 255 to broadcast. Ano po yung broadcast? It's like you have a teacher in a classroom trying to explain things, okay, in the center, okay, and all of you guys are listening to this teacher, okay. So I don't need to talk to one student per per student basis. So I just talk one time, and you can hopefully absorb what I'm trying to say. So this is also what's happening in a bridge network. They are on the same layer 2 broadcast domain. So what I'm trying to say is, if this computer trying to acquire an IP address. So in a DHCP, the very first one is discovery. So I need to discover who is the DHCP server in this network. So since this is a same network across, okay, the board, meaning to say left to right, this computer, okay, will send a broadcast address, and this computer, this particular device, manageable IP, if, for example, this access point, will receive the broadcast traffic or the broadcast frame, if you will, of this computer trying to discover who is the DHCP server on the network. So you might not see the performance issue if you are talking about this like 4 computers only or this network. But what if you are talking 100, 200, 300? Now, if they are trying to acquire, you will see that there is now what we call overhead in terms of the number of traffic dedicated just for broadcast. So because they are on the same broadcast domain. So it is a feature now and becomes what we call a disadvantage of what we call a bridge network. So as we increase our networking device, okay, you will see that, okay, kasi pag start natin, Sir Bullet, bilit sa MikroTik pala, okay, of course we have mga ganito, okay, si Mantbox. Nakikita mo, Sir Bullet, yung sector ni MikroTik, 5 gigahertz. Okay, usong-uso na po yung mga sector AP ngayon. Okay, so yun nga, mga basic or startup quiz. I buy a router, subscribe to the internet, etc. Of course, we have some NTC and bus requirements that it is another topic for another day. Of course, you buy your sector AP or your point-to-point AP, what up to you. Okay, so may mga wireless systems din si MikroTik. Okay, hopefully hindi lang kumbaga hindi lang sana alam nila hex lang or CCR ba. Meron pong mga wireless system si MikroTik na hopefully magkaroon kayo, you will have some time to test it out and also apply rather than going to another brand. Of course, because this is a TikTok, I will be biased so far for MikroTik. But of course, for you guys, there are. So ito po yung sector niya. So sector Mantbox 15. So kung receiver naman, so pwede kang mga SXT, ano pa ba yung mga receiver natin na sa taas siguro. SX, so dapat 5 gigahertz din yung receiver. This is a receiver. It could be a receiver. It could be a point-to-point. So si Disclite, you have also SXT, SQ, 5AC could be your station or your receiver. So back to what we call the bridge network. So as you grow, halimbawa may mga access points ka na dyan or mga sectors ka na, pag lumaki na yung network, yun na, you will start to wonder how large I can go. How big I can go. Can I have a 200 subscriber or 300 subscriber or 400 subscriber? If you have minimal networking knowledge, okay, when you start, because sometimes when we do business, just go ahead and venture with that and learn later or learn on the fly. Kumbaga, may mga ganun na scenario. But hopefully, you'll understand that there's not much you can grow if you're using this particular subnet /24. So you have 250 plus endpoints or valid IPs, then you will have some problems now scaling out. What if talagang maganda yung serbisyo nyo, you are in demand, and you are kumbaga word of mouth, okay, this is a good startup quiz, will subscribe, then you'll have problems in the long run. Okay, so these are what we call this description of a bridge network, and you will see slowly the issues or some disadvantages if you what we call stay put on a bridge network. So far, okay, Sir Bullet?
Okay, loud and clear.
Loud and clear. So, issues with bridge network. So, you have some broadcast and ARP traffic. Okay, this what we call issues with bridge network. the first may not be the first. You will, but of course you will. Of course, when you in your bridge network, you'll have a lot of broadcast traffic and the ARP traffic. The broadcast traffic is of course yung sinasabi ko, yung kumbaga kung mag-discover ang isang computer, they will really go to the broadcast, what we call all Fs, and of course the .255 or the last the broadcast address. Now you have also the address resolution protocol traffic. So ARP kasi, you're trying to what we call the MAC address and what we call the IP combination. Okay, so those will also get the ARP traffic. So in MikroTik, so if you can see, so you will have IP ARP here. So IP ARP, it will list out. Okay, so this will be populated as your network will grow. So in this scenario, I have some what we call listed here, and you will see on the IP settings on MikroTik, you'll have some 8,192 max neighbor entries. Of course, this is huge in what we call, sir, 8,192 po yan. Hindi siguro makakaabot ng 8,000 siguro na mga neighbor entries. Of course, if you will, but you will know that that is a particular limit. So you'll now have some max neighbor entries, and the problem is, yes, this is MikroTik. So what if in your network you are not exclusively using MikroTik? You have some switches here that perhaps maybe have a smaller, kumbaga, MAC table size limitation. I've seen some limitation of 1024 some switches. So meaning to say, if you have a bigger network, okay, hindi lang po kasi i-count mo yung the devices, okay? So your computers will also be listed there on the what we call the ARP, okay, so resolution sa mga switches. Makikita mo yan sa MAC table nila. So anong significance pala kung limited yan? So meaning to say, if I have some max neighbor entries, if that will be max out, walang problema sa MikroTik in this manner because it's 8,000 plus. What if you're using a switch that has a lesser MAC table, 1,000? So if you reach that limit, okay, so the next neighbor, the next endpoint trying to connect to your switch, even it has a correct cable, a correct Wi-Fi password or whatever, it will not be what we call entry to the MikroTik or to the router. Therefore, there is no communication to that particular device, unfortunately. So ito pa naman yung medyo mahirap-hirap na i-troubleshoot na part sa OSI layer 2, because for us, we troubleshoot layer 1, okay, cable, power. We troubleshoot layer 3, IP address, may subnet mask. But when we troubleshoot layer 2, okay, this may not be a straightforward thing, because yung nga, we need to understand where should we troubleshoot and what we call the limitations of our devices. So you have IP ARP, and you have also in the bridge, if this is a bridge, may mga hosts na makikita dyan. Of course, it should carry, and the MAC address should be reflected on this particular bridge host area. Okay? So broadcast loop. So ito talaga medyo yung kumbaga problema sa isang bridge network, yung loop. Okay? Of course, we now have what we call, of course, we have some technologies to combat it. We call it spanning tree protocol. So back in the day, okay, we don't have switches that has automatic STP or STP enabled open. So sa loop, medyo mahaba-haba kasi yung kumbaga time na i-consume kung talagang i-discuss natin kung bakit may loop. So loop meaning to say, normally when I connect to this switch, okay, for example, if I have a connection to this switch, I only have one cable. However, what if I try to think of performance and as well as redundancy? So I put another cable. So the problem is you are perhaps solving a problem of performance and redundancy. However, you are introducing a problem or an issue we call loop. Okay? So because wala na, magpabalik-balik na lang yung kumbaga frame kung may dalawang kable dito at hindi marunong mag-block ang switch mo kung walang mga STP or RSTP feature. So that's another kumbaga topic. So when that happens, okay, so in this network, someone just remove this computer, connect another switch. Uh, Unfortunately, a switch, unmanageable switch, we don't have STP. Unfortunately, for example, halimbawa, museum switch type, ilagay nila, okay, someone connects and there you go. It will wreak havoc across the network. Yun yung problema, Sir Bullet, pag bridge network. Kasi, mahirap mo nang i-troubleshoot. Okay, I have a scenario in working abroad. Okay, we have a morning call 8 a.m. and we have 7 racks. Okay, 42 U rack, meaning 6 feet rack, punong-puno ng mga network equipment and server, and they say their network or internet is down. And actually, the term was said is network is down, meaning to say even the LAN communication is down. So of course, in that particular call, we already have an idea that it could be a bridge or broadcast loop, or may mga broadcast storm na nangyayari. But the problem is, how would you find the culprit sa seven what we call thankfully medyo na solve naman siya in an hour time na ang isang server ang culprit noon, okay, having some issues with its network card and trying to have some broadcast storms, and therefore really down the entire network. Down po yung entire network pag bridge network. Yun po yung problema natin. So kung meron kang subscriber na medyo may other agenda trying to pin you down as a whiz, okay, you can just put in some funny switches, unmanageable switches without STP or without, okay, to combat the bridge or broadcast storm feature, connect some cables, and there you go. Okay, your network will be down. So that we don't want that to happen. Okay, so that is what we call very difficult scenario on your part. So scaling. So this is what I've already been saying on the previous slide, that okay, how much more can you go if you are on a bridge network? So if you are on a /24, okay, akala mo lalagpas ka pala sa 500 because okay, I buy a super sector, for example 19S, I invested this, and my technician will tell me, sir, we cannot add more subscribers. Why? Because we are technically ganito /24 bridge network tayo. And of course, if you don't know technology, you will complain to your tech or to your network guy, I invested to this router, this is a super expensive router, a super expensive access point, and now you're telling me I cannot increase more subscribers. How can I return or have an ROI or get back what's my investment? So now is the issue of scaling. Okay, so yun po yung problema pag bridge network. Security. So when we have problems now of isolating some clients, so there might be a time that this client don't want to be reachable by other clients. Okay, for example, this client is a confidential client scenario. One of the requirements when he subscribes to you, I don't want someone connecting or being able to reach my network or my IP address, my server. Okay, so that will become a problem now of security because you are on a single local area network, same IP address space. Okay, so almost open, there's no firewall in between, router in between that could protect you. Of course, MikroTik has what we call bridge filters, and this will be another story. Of course, you can create some bridge filters here and create some rules in order to block what we call certain MAC address going to this MAC address, drop and accept whatever. So MikroTik has that feature, but it is daunting. It is a daunting task because I rather type an IP address than typing a 48-bit MAC address in that scenario. So that this is now a problem in terms of security. And finally, performance. Of course, there is what we call, if you have some more broadcast traffic than the usual, you have a broadcast loop which affects performance, and you have what we call some bridge filter rules that could affect the, in a way, performance as well, because it will match those rules, now is a problem of performance in reality. So meron nga akong isang customer or client in another province, okay? They started very good in Wiz, and slowly but surely, as they have 100 clients or 200 clients, not telco issues, they tell me that they have some performance issues, mga slow na. Although marami naman din siyang mga ISP na nakaabang. Kumbaga marami siyang sinubscribe, pero parang hindi daw talaga ISP ang problema, it's within the LAN. So, okay, upon looking at it, is a bridge network, so obviously, okay, that could be an issue there. Okay, Sir Bullet?
Okay, okay. So marami
Okay.
akong natututunan ha, marami akong natututunan. Hindi ko pa alam yun.
So basically, when the bridge network naman, alam na natin yan paano gawin sa ating mga default config. May isang bridge ka lang, mga ports ka na ilalagay, tapos IP address /24. Kung halimbawa, if I try to follow my slide, and you just connect your what we call sectors or access point to any of these ports that are part of the bridge, Ether 3, Ether 4, Ether 2, and of course you'll have a DHCP server enabled on this particular MikroTik so that it will list out IPs. Okay? So yun nga din isang problema. Halimbawa ito, okay lang ito, mga 1 kilometro or 2 kilometro. How about this is 10 kilometers, 20 kilometer access point, and this computer trying to discover what we call a DHCP server across the 20 kilometer link, di ba? Imagine mo, Sir Bullet, nag-iisa lang yan. What if dalawa, tatlo, apat, and mag-extend pa yan, yun na talaga makikita mo na performance issues. I cannot get an IP address, problems na mag-conflict, kasi halimbawa /24, posibleng kulang na yung IP mo, maka-conflict na, and you will also have some problems if someone connects its router and that router is a DHCP server. Kaya halimbawa, bumili ng, kasi may halimbawa, ay nagkulang ng yung port, wala na akong ibang kumbaga device kundi router na lang. Sabi naman nila, pwede naman daw ni i-connect yung router. So, kinonect yung router. So, kung kinonect yung router, meron ding IP address na DHCP server yung router. So, that router is also providing IP address to the entire bridge network. So, that now becomes a problem. And very, very difficult because okay lang to kung isang opisina to or isang, kumbaga, isang company lang. Even isang company, mahirap na nga. What if you are trying to find who is the culprit 10 to 20 kilometers away, and what if this is a remote area halimbawa? That would become a problem for you. Okay, so transitioning now. So transitioning, we now have what we call a routed network option. So this in this drawing, later you will realize it's not really the complete routed network in a manner, but obviously at least now you are breaking. So ang idea lang naman talaga sa pag mag-transition ka na, you try to make the broadcast domain smaller. Okay? So you are this is a single large broadcast domain. So now you try to find where I can slice it up and hopefully create some smaller broadcast domain. Yun man din yung transitioning period. Because, for example, if you are in a production network, you're gonna just, okay, sorry, we have a downtime for 1 to 2 to 3 days because we will try to transfer from bridge network to a routed network. You cannot do that on a routed network. On a production network wherein you now have existing clients. So you now need to plan your migration. At least you have a fallback plan when the migration plan or transitioning plan doesn't happen perfectly or fully to what you are trying to achieve. But however, what I'm trying to say is try to find on your network where you can slowly make the large network become smaller or small into pieces as a small broadcast domain. So here, you will notice that the difference is this now becomes a router than a switch. So, sa mga hindi alam yung networking, si switch kasi, when there is a broadcast traffic from this particular computer, okay, it will forward the broadcast traffic. Yun po yung isang trabaho ng switch. It will flood the network if there is a broadcast frame that he receives. Flood the network except the origin of the broadcast frame. So it will flood. So now you have some broadcast traffic issues, broadcast loop eventually. Okay. So now when we replace it to a router, when there is a broad discovery pack frame from this server or from this computer, it will now only be what we call hanggang dito lang siya. Kasi si router, hindi na siya what we call forwarding the broadcast frame. So in this scenario, you must be a DHCP server or there must be a DHCP server in this network. Okay, Sir Bullet?
Okay.
Okay. So basically, it's still inside. It's still what we call a bridge network, 192.168.100/24 network. However, you can now slice it up. Okay, again, following our lesson the other time, you'll have contiguous IP addresses so that you can summarize it. For example, you can summarize this to 192.168.100.0 slash, let's say, what we call malamang-lamang 22, okay? Because up to 103 na siya. So you now have here, instead that this is a 100 network, 100.0 network slash 24, it becomes 101, 102, 103. Okay? So now I have this. So my main will still be stay put to a bridge. My main will still carry this IP address. However, on my second MikroTik, okay, so I will connect to my second MikroTik now. Okay, so for example, we have the access point connected to what we call, okay, so let's, I have this MT number 2. Okay, so let's say in my scenario, this MT2 is connected to port number 1, okay, going to to this network. So I will have an IP address. Okay, so we have 192.168.100.2. Okay, assuming that it's 100.1 yung kabila, 100.2 on Ether 1. Now, okay, so this is done. Now, the remaining ports, I could make it as another bridge, 2, 3, 4, or create smaller networks here and not make it as a bridge para talagang maliit na mga networks. Or for example purposes, this is a /24. So for convenience purposes, this is a new network 192.168.101 and naka-bridge pa rin yon. Halimbawa si mga other networks 2, 3, 4. So now, instead I have a bigger 100.0 network, I now have a smaller network. Okay? So na-slice na siya with a what we call. Of course, I now have the option to, do I use a NAT or I don't use a NAT. So if I really use a fully routed network or routing talaga, I will not implement what we call a network address translation. Because if I will implement a network address translation here, these IP addresses will not be fully visible to the other network. So halimbawa, paglabas ng computer na ito, 100.2 pa rin ang makikita ng network na ito. However, what if I want it in a manner that it is really routed network, wherein this one will go out, will carry a 100.1 network. So I will remove the NAT. Of course, I need to have a route in this scenario. So halimbawa, please go to your gateway 192.168.100.1 network. Okay, so it's saying it's reachable here, but it's better to try to ping, for example, what we call 168.100.1 muna. So I'll be able to ping. I suspect if I try to ping here, okay, so kung walang route pabalik yung aking router, so Sir Bullet, kung walang route pabalik sa 101, most likely I will not be able to go outside. So, okay, I think there is a route back, so that's why I was able to ping, okay, because tinanggal ko na yung NAT. Okay, so you notice, Sir Bullet, tinanggal ko na yung NAT. So yung MT2 ko, yung MikroTik 2 ko is ito, MikroTik number 1 is ito. So this MikroTik number 1 is connected to the internet. Okay? So now I'm able to go out to the internet. Okay, I can still ping. I can still ping because perhaps it's using the 100 interface. So ang pinaka-proper talaga, what if galing sa bridge interface or meron akong computer talaga behind this router, that is the what we call pang test talaga. Okay? So there's a timeout, but it's better to test when you have a computer on behind. So unfortunately, we don't have that particular. So I'm sensing that wala talagang route pabalik. Okay, so I go back to MT number 1. Okay, so ito na po yung kumbaga scenario wherein you try to make the network work, wherein sa bridging wala ka namang iniisip kasi pag switch mo lagay mo computer tapos. Okay, ngayon pag pinalitan mo na ng router, ngayon iisipin mo na yung route niya, or magna-NAT ka ba, or network address translation, or you will do it purely routing. So I'll go to my MT1. Hopefully I can connect. Okay, so I can connect to MT1. I have a route to the internet. Okay, so I have a route to the internet. Oh, okay, so sorry. I have a routing class kasi, Sir Bullet. Routing class the other day. So medyo recursive yung topic namin at saka may mga routing marks na nag-PCC kami, mga dual ISP. So ito lang. So ito lang yung dapat na route ko. Okay? So I should be able to go to the internet. Okay? Okay? But I don't have a route going to 101. So yun lang talaga ang kumbaga kung magra-routing ka na routed network, your network kung wala itong NAT, walang network address translation, this router should be able to know how to go back to this 101. So for me to go back to 192.168.101 network is to create a static route. So it's a specific route 168.101.0/24 and my next hop, kumbaga saan ko ipapasa. So looking at this diagram, saan ko siya ipapasa? Ipapasa ko ba sa ISP router? Ipapasa ko ba sa router na ito? No, because these routers are not, kumbaga, don't know how to go to 101 network. So I supposed to pass it to him. So this is what we call yung IP ng router na yon, which is 100.2. Okay? So now I have a static static route, this one, a static route going to the 101 network. Okay? So yun po yung kumbaga I would say nuances or kumbaga requirements when you are now on a routed network. Okay? So you cannot simply put the switch, turn it on, put the cables and expect it working. Yes, in switch, yes, it will be working, but on a router you will have some requirements to do. Any questions, Sir Bullet?
Wala din walang nagtatanong sa ating chat box.
Okay. So what I'm trying to tell you guys is we are now creating an extra static route. We are doing this because if you remember, we removed the network address translation. So if you remove the network address translation on that other router, meaning to say the computers behind this router is carrying 101 IP, not the 100.2 IP. If you are doing a NAT, you are carrying 100.2. But if you are not doing a NAT, they are carrying a 192.168.101 IP. So when that particular packet hits this router, okay, actually, okay, ang tinitignan niya destination networks. Kaya nga ang network naman talaga dito destination address. So tinitignan niya, yes, I have a destination address going to internet. So yeah, you go to the internet. Now comes the return. Okay, there's now a response from Facebook, from YouTube. And after the NAT, okay, the NAT table here, you will see that dapat ibabalik siya sa 192.168.101.10. Now, this router will look at its routing table do I have 192.168.101 network na route? So kanina kung wala ito, talagang idadrop niya yung packet kasi hindi niya alam paano pumunta. Hindi naman niya ibabalik ulit sa internet. Ibabalik niya sa internet, talagang walang mangyayari sa packet. Okay? Kaya nga dapat meron kang pabalik, okay, return route. So that is now what is needed. So you will also tell me guys that yes, it's okay for one network. What if I have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 network in my what we call infrastructure, okay, in my topology? I cannot be doing that. I cannot be doing what we call a static route to each of the routers. Okay, it is easy. It's not that hard, but it will be, kumbaga, I would not say waste of time, but kumbaga, marami-raming talagang ilalagay mo. At kung medyo nakalimutan mong ilagay ang iba, talagang may problema sa kumbaga, paano mo i-reach yung ibang networks. Okay? So now, actually, I will try to invite you, Sir Bullet.
No.
Meron tayong, di ba? Meron tayong actually implementing IPv4 routing na online class ito.
So, yan, oo.
Yan, kompleto ito. Side ko lang to. Kompleto ito. Meron itong mga IPv4 fundamentals, paano i-compute yung mga IP addresses, yung routing na fundamentals before na kumbaga may static routing, yung ginagawa natin ngayon na static routing, at kung talagang medyo malakihan na network or hindi naman malaki, medyo mid-size na network and you need some dynamic or internal dynamic routing in play, so you can opt with OSPF. Okay, so Open Shortest Path First dynamic routing protocol, complete with videos and complete with PDF. Okay, may mga kumbaga marami-rami extensive ito na OSPF. If you could see, view more sa OSPF pa lang, marami na tayong mga stub area, total stub, and so on and so forth, because this dynamic routing protocol such a huge topic. But anyway, we go back. So going back to the question, yes, I can do the static route. What if nga my network will grow? I don't want to be that administrator when I have some router here. I will key in all the networks on that router. Okay, so don't expect me to do that. Yes, I can do a script, but again, it's still a kumbaga huge effort for me. So of course, you can what we call implement a dynamic routing protocol. Okay, so again, this is just a primer because we cannot have the entire 1 hour for just OSPF. But again, to solve that issue or to solve that requirement, you can implement an OSPF networking dynamic routing protocol in our MikroTik Router OS. So basically, ito po yung PDF sa class na yon. So meron dito, okay? So sinasabi niya dito na in MikroTik Router OS, you can start the OSPF by defining the networks that the OSPF will run and associated. So in other brands kasi, Sir Bullet, pwede kasi sa interface lang, i-on mo sa interface, gagana na yung OSPF. But for MikroTik, sa network siya gagana. Okay, you can start the OSPF, okay, on that particular what we call network. Okay, so is default MikroTik from the factory merong routing capability? Of course, that's why we purchase MikroTik. Okay, so if you go to system packages, basta naka-on lang yung routing na package, okay, so available po to yung menu na ito. So you have some BGP, OSPF, and the rest, filters, RIP, okay, routing information protocol. Okay, so hindi po yan yung pang November na sinasabi natin, RIP. So iba po yan. So all the November ngayon, so I don't know if you're doing trick and treat na ano ba yung sa November na yan na
trick or treat.
Yun. Wala kasi sa amin, wala sa probinsya. Okay? So you can have the OSPF, okay? A daunting OSPF with so many tabs, okay? So again, don't worry. We'll just touch a bit about OSPF. So you can now what we call, ito talaga yung kumbaga end. I will not say end, but if you really want to have a fully routed network, so you remove this bridge. So you see 100.24. So you see, Sir Bullet, kasi I'm thinking about production to. from 100.024, paano ka medyo hindi ka makapag-disrupt sa network mo. So again, in play yan, tapos palitan mo lang yung switch. So medyo hindi siya talaga disruptive kasi kung pagpalit mo dito, hindi naman naapektuhan yung mga switches dito sa kabila. They're still working. Ang naapektuhan yung client mo lang. Okay? So again, they're still happy and okay, you're slowly. But if you really want to kumbaga make a fully routed network, yung mga sectors mo din, paiba-iba na yung kumbaga network niya. Okay? Although it's a 192.168.100, take note of the subnet mask or the CIDR notation. It's /29. Okay? So this is 1.0/29, 100.8/29, 100.16/29. They are not on the same network. Again, I repeat, although these two, same yung first 3 octets niya, but of course, take note sa mask. They are not on the same network. So this particular network, 6 usable IPs. So 1 here, 1 for your router, 1 for your access point, 1 for your station, 1 for your what we call router, that's 4. And you can have some extra 5 and 6 and other stuff so that you can what we call have that particular. So halimbawa, Sir Bullet, kung ito talaga is i-router kumbaga i-router na natin talaga, so tatanggalin ko na yung number 3. Okay? So I could certainly prepare first, okay? So I could certainly prepare 192.168. Let's say if I follow this, the first usable IP is .9. So 100.9/24 /29. Then you have your ether 3, okay? So just bear with me. Tatanggalin ko na siya sa bridge. Okay? Okay? So tatanggalin ko na siya sa bridge. Of course, it will be okay on this is on live stream purposes lang ha. So you have some to plan it properly. Kumbaga dapat naka-routing OSPF network. So you will only run the OSPF on that particular network. So 100.8/29. So you have some area. So again, as another day. So at least for us, okay. So this is only to start the dynamic routing protocol. So this is on MT number 1. So tinanggal ko na siya sa bridge. Okay, wala na yung port number 3. Tapos meron ng IP si port number 3. Of course, this one is super huge network. So in this scenario kasi wala na si 100.1/24. So I could disable this. Okay, so connect. So I will now go to what we call MikroTik number 2. Medyo akala ko, Sir Bullet, impromptu to, pero 4 minutes, 6 minutes na lang. So MT number 2. Okay. So again, let's say this is connected to port number 1, yung kanina. So MT2. Okay, so IP address. So this is going to the LAN. Okay, so I will change this. So .9 si first router. So this is .10. So okay, so for checking purposes, I'll try to ping first before I do an OSPF para malaman. Okay, so I could see my neighbor, so there should be no reason why we will not talk in a default OSPF. Okay, so networks, so you now have 192.168, what we call 100.8/29 on my backbone network. Okay. So let's wait. Now I have a neighbor. Ang maganda talaga, may mga what we call instances router ID, but that's on another time kasi medyo gipit tayo sa oras. I'm just trying to say, so I have a neighbor now. So if you could go to my IP routes, I will this one is not around already because wala na siya. You'll take note, wala pa rin yung mga OSPF na mga routes, di ba? So halimbawa si MT2, ang alam niya paano pumunta sa 101, paano pumunta sa 100.8 network. Okay? Hindi niya pa rin alam yung 102, although wala pa tayong mga network dito. So hindi pa rin alam niya yung network dito, okay, yung ibang network. So you could also see it on the other router. Okay? So quickly, I have 4 minutes, okay? Rushing rushing hour na. So you have cancel. I go to MT1. I'm just trying to take a look at the IP routes. Madalian lang. IP route. Okay. So wala na ito. So static route. So okay. So tanggalin ko na ito para clear. I will remove this one. Remove this one. Hindi niya pa rin alam yung 101 Sir Bullet na network. Okay? So yes. Is there the OSPF up? Okay, so the OSPF is up with the interface. If you really double check, there is neighbor. If you want to really check, there are OSPF routes intra-area, within the area. So, meron talaga. So, ang kulang kasi Sir Bullet, okay, so, ito din, IP routes, dapat mo ding ibigay yung ito. So, ito ha. So, iti-take note ko to, notepad. So, although 3 minutes na lang. Pwede ba tayo ma-extend? Joke lang.
Pwede.
So, si MT2, dapat meron siyang default route. Kasi, para yung mga users behind the MT2 router, makapunta ng internet. Kasi ito naman din yung importante na route. Si MT1, dapat alam niya yung 192.168.101.0/24 network. So, yun man din yung kumbaga dapat natin expected. So, hindi pa nangyayari. Si MT1, hindi niya alam yung 192.168.101 network. Okay? And si MT2, hindi pa nagbibigay ng default network. So that will not be transferring. So it's here on the OSPF instance, redistribute what we call default route. I could choose any of the 4, but of course there are meanings of this. Not this time, on another day. So if installed, okay, type 1. So what is this setting is all about is please redistribute your default route to your neighbor. Okay, so if you have a default route installed, if installed, of course it's there. So sorry, IP routes, it's there. So please redistribute or ibigay mo sa mga neighbor mo. Yung neighbor mo, CMT number 2. Okay? CMT number 2. So let's go now to MT number 2. Okay, 759. Okay, so I'll just go to MT number 2, connect. And let's see, yon, Sir Bullet. So una, meron na tayong default route. So see, it's that simple how you can provide this router access to the internet. Bigyan kita ng default route. Yon, redistribute. Ngayon, ikaw na lang yung last. So, yung network mo, dapat mong i-share. So, redistribute connected routes. So, type 1 na lang muna. Of course, there are meaning. So, ang ginawa ko lang ngayon is, if you have a connected network or connected route, so, if you go to IP routes, we have a connected network 100.8 and 101. It will not be given this one because si MT number 1, alam naman niya yung network na ito. Okay? Ito na lang yung ibibigay niya kasi itong network na ito hindi alam. Okay? MT number 1 don't know. So expected natin na makikita na ni MT1 yung network. So I'll just do a ping now quickly because this is the last time we will take a look at. Okay? So I will now be able to do, check natin yung mga ibang IP. Baka sabihin bias tayo sa 888. Okay naman. So we'll go to MT1 for our final view of MT1 kung meron na bang 101. Okay, this is MT1 and we go straightly. Again, ang hinihintay natin, malalaman ni MT1 yung 101. And there. So meron na siyang DAO, Dynamic Active OSPF route coming from the neighbor with a distance of 110. Again, that's another topic. So, ngayon, alam na ni what we call, ano nga yung IP, wala tayong IP na 101 that yung papasok sa LAN, o meron ba? Nakalimutan kung nag-IP tayo. Ay, meron. So, yon, alam na ni what we call MT1, paano pumunta. So again, if you do it on other ports, straightforward lang. I-member mo lang ng i-open lang mo yung OSPF network, Tapos i-redistribute mo lang yung connected route and that's it. They can now see each other and not the daunting static route. So yun yung advantage ngayon if you're running what we call dynamic routing. Of course, there is pros and cons in running a dynamic routing protocol, but that's on another day, not today. Okay? So yun, 8:01, medyo overtime. Although it's an impromptu, what we call live stream preparation, but hopefully, guys know some stuff from this. So I will now end my presentation. So far, any questions or yun?
Okay naman.
Ah.
Maganda yung topic. Nakapag-review din ako.
Yun nga, hopefully, some of the guys find it useful nowadays because I know many are still on a bridge network and will try to migrate or slowly transition their network to what we call routed networks and reap the benefits of routed networks. Marami-rami ang mga benefits din ng routed networks. Madaling mag-failover, mag-introduce ng isang ISP, and so on and so forth. Okay? So, yun yung advantage. Maging flexible siya. Tapos, wala yung dreaded NAT. Si NAT kasi medyo, kumbaga pag marami-rami na, okay? So, problema na, CPU, and so on and so forth. Much better, pure route ang gamitin. And you will have only NAT on your upstream router. Okay? Any questions so far, Sir Bullet?
So, wala din nagtanong sa ating chat. Wala naman. So,
clear naman.
Clear.
If you have some questions, don't hesitate to message Sir Bullet or to me sa Macritic Rizal or sa kanyang YouTube comments. Okay, feel free to comment or let me know kung may mga things ba na for clarity or may na-miss ba ako, ganito. Of course, this is live stream. It's really live. Okay? Kung nakita mo lang yung mga cable nandito sa bahay, talagang live na live siya. Yung mga kable. Okay, hopefully you'll have you guys. And yun nga, pag may time na tayo, mga pure dedicated for OSPF and so on and so forth as we move along, kung may mga topics kayo na gusto.
Okay, so ganda yung topic mo ngayon, Sir Oxbill. And lalagay natin yung yung link nung iyong course, yung OSPF, yung online course.
Yeah.
Ilagay natin. I-re-upload uli natin tong live stream natin. Ika-cut natin yung yung mga sa countdown para ilalagay natin dun sa sa presentation proper. So, etong pang ilang stream na natin to, sir? Pang-apat ba?
Pang third ko, ikaw pang-apat na. So, sa check attendance, isang absent ko. So, yun, hopefully we have some more Fridays to come na we can impart some Microtik na topics to our users.
Medyo okay na rin yung ating wala na masyadong technical difficulties. Medyo okay na rin sa audio.
Master ka na sa live stream.
So kulang na lang yung yung mga guest natin. Tawagin natin.
Guest? Yung mga pwede din yung mga audience or mga subscriber na may video cam, pwede din magtanong at least. So, tanong on the spot live stream. Wag yung mahirap mahirap guys ha. Yung mga kaya masagot.
Wag lang magtatanong pag wala ka kasi baka wala kang masagot.
So, anong tawag nito? Baka mag-Google pa tayo para sumagot lang sa tanong nila. So, hopefully it's clear and you have some things na natutunan naman at ma-apply nyo sa network nyo. So, soon, VLANs, PPOE, dual ISP yon, mga recursive na nakita nyo guys kanina sa router na yon. Yun, pwede din mga topics natin, PCC, and so on and so forth in the coming live stream.
Yun, ganda. Okay, so yun na yung ating topic for today. So thank you very much, Sir Oxbill. And we are your tech guys on Friday. I'm Bullet. And
I'm Oxville from Davao. See you again, guys.
see you again next Friday, or baka may schedule na natin yung Tech Guys on Saturdays.
Wow,
Teka,
sit in na
titignan natin.
ako.
Titignan natin. And we are signing off.
Oh.